Hey guys, welcome back. Now, very recently, I did a review of the Prism Plus Q65 Smart TV. Now, if you want to check that out, I'll put a link to that in the video description below. But in that review, I actually said that that TV really needed a good soundbar just to complement it. Now, in that review, I said and I mentioned the Klipsch Cinema 400, so that is what we're going to review today. Now, first of all, a very big thank you to Klipsch for sending over the Cinema 400 for review. Now, they actually have two variants, the Cinema 400 and the Cinema 600. So the Cinema 600 basically has a much longer soundbar. Now, there are other features, of course, that are in the Cinema 600 that is not in the Cinema 400, but we'll go through that later. Now, first of all, let's talk about the unboxing. Now, in the box, obviously, you get the soundbar, you get the subwoofer, you also get two power cables, one for the soundbar, one for the subwoofer. You get a HDMI cable and you get mounting brackets in case you want to mount the soundbar to the TV or to the wall. Now, in terms of design, let's talk about the subwoofer first. I would have to say in terms of design, it's very, very subdued, which is kind of the way it's supposed to be. It's sort of supposed to be hidden in the corner and not get any attention, and it definitely does that with the subwoofer. The cone and the driver are actually pointing downwards, not forward, not backwards, which I think is really good. And for this one, it has an 8-inch subwoofer driver. Now, another cool thing about the subwoofer is that it works wirelessly with the soundbar, which is pretty cool. You don't need to have another cable running towards the soundbar, so that's fantastic. And so I tested it out. It actually works effectively up to about 9 meters. Do take note though, if you stop playing audio for a while and then you start playing it again, it takes about a second for the subwoofer to kick in. Now, the soundbar, just like the subwoofer, is quite subdued in terms of its design, but honestly, a lot of soundbars tend to be very plain looking, and this is quite simple, but I love that signature Klipsch horn on the left and on the right. It just makes everything look really classy. Now, in terms of control, obviously you get a remote with your options to increase the volume, but also independently increase and decrease the subwoofer, so that's pretty cool. Now, one thing I really like is that you get a button to toggle the LED on and off. Now, that's really good if, let's say, you're watching a movie and you put all lights off, because these LEDs are actually really, really bright. So the fact that you can turn them off so that they're not a distraction is actually a really good idea. Now, of course, you get your regular buttons on the remote, like your power button, your mute button, but you also get buttons for the different special features included in the Klipsch Cinema 400. Features such as the dialogue feature, which we'll talk about later. You also get the virtual surround as well as night mode. So let's talk about the features. First one, of course, is the dialogue enhancer. So what that does is it basically brings up the voice so it's more foreground. Now, I'm sure this happened to a lot of people where you're watching a movie, and then when it comes to people talking, it's like too soft. So you bring up the volume to hear what they're saying, and then suddenly the explosion happens and that's way too loud. So basically the dialogue enhancer mode allows the voice to be more foreground without having to make the volume too loud. And yeah, night mode works in a similar way, I guess. What it does is it reduces the dynamic range between the softest and the loudest points of what you're watching. So I actually found that the best way to enjoy movies at night is to have both night mode and the dialogue enhancer on. And of course, you get the virtual surround mode, which actually worked a lot better than I expected it to be. So yeah, that sort of gives you the sort of surround feeling, even though the Cinema 400 is not a surround setup. Now, the weird thing about the surround mode was I realized that when it was on, a lot of dialogue started to feel a bit off-center towards the left. And when I was watching on Netflix, I thought, okay, maybe it was that particular movie. So I tried a few movies on Netflix and YouTube, but I noticed the same thing. So like with surround mode off, I can pretty much hear the dialogue in the center, but when I turned it on, when I turned surround on, then the voice started to be slightly more towards the left. Now, with the way this sort of virtual surround things work, it could also be the way I've positioned the soundbar, the way my living room is built. So it's hard to say whether that's actually a fault or more to do with the setup and where I place the soundbar. Now, on the soundbar itself, in terms of control, it's very simple. You've got the power button, you've got the source, which means you can basically choose between what source you want to take your audio from, and then of course you get your volume controls. So yeah, like I said, even though it's a single soundbar, there are basically 4 ways you can connect to the soundbar. Number 1 obviously is HDMI, which supports ARC, and the Prism Plus supports ARC as well. So that's great because I can actually use the Prism Plus remote control to control the audio volume from the soundbar. Now, you also have digital or optical, as well as analog input. So you basically got quite a few ways to connect audio into the soundbar. Alright, so you just heard some very quick recordings of the Cinema 400. Now, there are a couple of things I need to say first. Number one, if you're wondering why I didn't do a recording to test out or show you guys how the virtual surround works, now obviously I can't do that because, you know, it's a single mic and you can't really get an idea of how the surround works on a single mic. Now, the other thing is, in terms of audio quality, my mic is not really going to do it justice. Because, you know, well, I mean, it's always better when you're there listening to it. And I have to say, in terms of audio quality, for the price that you're paying for this, and we'll talk about it later, it is definitely among the best. Now, the Klipsch blew me away with their T52 truly wireless that I reviewed some time back. And with this Cinema 400, it's no different. I thought it was amazing. First of all, the subwoofer is incredible. One of the best subwoofers I've experienced at that price bracket. It's amazing. I would actually think that the subwoofer alone might be worth half or maybe more of the price. It is really very good, really very crisp. It doesn't distort no matter how loud I played it. And with your patented Klipsch horns, really crisp, really clear. And then, you know, toggling the dialogue enhancer mode on and off, it works really well. So is there anything I don't quite like about the Cinema 400? Honestly, not really. Like I said, the only thing that bothered me was with virtual surround on, I found the dialogue to be towards the left a little bit. But then again, I don't know if that's a problem with the soundbar or the problem with how I placed it, I'm not sure. But other than that, no, I have absolutely no problems with it. It is brilliant sounding. Now, one thing though, I have to say, the Cinema 400 on the box, it actually says that it is rated for TVs of up to 42 inches, okay? Now, when I first saw that rating, I was like, you know what? I don't think it matters so much because they just put it there because they want you to buy the 600 if you've got a bigger TV. But I have to say, I was wrong. Now, as you can see, the soundbar is a lot shorter than the length of the TV. And usually it might not be a big deal, but what I did found that even with virtual surround on, it seemed a bit narrow, and even more so with virtual surround off, alright? It sounded very towards the center. So I can actually imagine how a longer soundbar would actually fit that TV more. But yeah, after testing out the Cinema 400, I can see and I can understand why a larger soundbar would be suited to a larger TV. But of course, I don't have the Cinema 600 here for review, but let me know if you guys want to see that, and if enough of you ask for it, I'll see what I can do. Alright, so let's talk about the price. So the Klipsch Cinema 400 is available for about 499 Singapore dollars. And honestly, it is really good. I think definitely worth the money. Like what I said when I reviewed the Prism Plus TV, don't rely on the speakers built into that TV or any TV. You can have a really good TV, really good quality, but having really bad audio spoils it. Now, by the way, the Cinema 600, I believe, is available for 699 Singapore dollars, but I think it's on pre-order in Singapore at least. But the Cinema 600 has other features as well. Well, the first thing is you can actually buy an additional set of speakers to make it a proper surround setup. I don't think you can do that with the Cinema 400. And the other thing is that the Cinema 600 actually works together with a Klipsch app. Now, I didn't see that feature in the Cinema 400, so I don't think that works with the Cinema 400. Now, like I said, I haven't tested out the Cinema 600, but for the Cinema 400 specifically, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 and a Technobabble recommended logo. Alright, so that about wraps up my review of the Klipsch Cinema 400. Now, if you like this video, you know what to do, and I would love it if you would subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications on our next video. I'm JP, and I'll see you real soon.